Well, right now we can hear the turbines spooling up. We're just a little bit outside 5 minutes before the start, and the boats that will be in Heat 2B, the U6, oh boy, Oberto, defending, currently the high point leader in both the driver and the team standings. The U7, formulaboats.com, the U13, Graham Trucking, the U25, Miss Procraft Windows. You saw the interview with Dr. Ken Muscatel. They will not be out on the race course in Heat 2B, but the U37, Miss Beacon Plumbing, is going to be coming out in just a moment.
Be the first time we've seen young Jimmy Shane substituting for Mike Allen in the U7. The boat was damaged. It's not here. This is a backup boat, and Jimmy, of course, is filling in for Mike. And speaking of drivers who are recovering, we want to send a big hello back to Jimmy's sister, Kelly, who is recuperating back east from boat racing injuries. Quite an outstanding young female driver herself, Mark, and I know the entire boat racing community has been concerned about her and happy to hear that she is healing well.
Yep. Hello, Kelly, and get well real soon. Let's take a look inside the cockpit, see who will be out on the race course. That's Steve David and the Oh Boy Oberto right there. And he's coming through the west end turn.
Let me mention briefly, for those of you scoring at home, we don't know yet whether Bernard jumped the gun or not in the last heat. Here is Steve David out of Lighthouse Point, Florida, drives for the good folks from Madison, Indiana. Just had a chance to say hi to Bob Hughes up here on the official tower.
Jimmy Shane, we talked about Jimmy and Sister Kelly, and Jimmy substituting for Mike Allen in the U7 formulaboats.com entry this afternoon. This is his second time around on the Columbia Cup course. He substituted for Mike Allen last year after Mike had an accident in Detroit 2 weeks before.
One of the really great young drivers out of the East. Good to have him here. J. Michael Kelly has that throttle cable fixed, and he will be a factor here in the U13 Graham Trucking Spirit of Detroit. That's the bright yellow and green boat, easy to spot on the water.
Jean Thierret, the Miss Beacon Plumbing, the U37. This boat always a threat. This should be a burner of a heat. We've got 3 boats out here that are going to be pretty much evenly matched.
There is the Beacon Plumbing. It appears to be mostly yellow on your screen. It does have that traditional Bardol checkerboard deck, which Billy Shoemaker applied as a kind of a salute to his past, as well as the great racing tradition here in the Northwest. John Thierret, very hot shoe in the unlimited ranks, came up from the Grand Prix class where he was a dominant driver for many, many years, and he has been tough to beat here in the unlimiteds. This guy right here has a brand new race boat as of last year. It's a fast one. He is as good as anyone who ever drove these things. Steve David and John Thierret could hook up in a dandy here, and J. Michael Kelly has the race boat to run with him. He has proven that back east, done a lot of modifications to the U13, the yellow and green boat, and it appears to be able now to run with the front runners. So the start here, once again, Mark, is going to be all important. The inside and a good trip through lane 1.
We haven't seen the U7 and Jimmy Shane's ride so far. We only have 3 boats on the race course at this point. They're having some problems starting. Our folks down in the pits, we see it. We've got a camera on them right now, and Jimmy's having a little problem getting that boat started. He was out late yesterday afternoon, and they ran the boat this morning a little bit in testing, but they haven't had a chance to get that boat out there and do much running. This is a backup boat that the Formula Boats team and Ted Porter's group purchased from USA Racing. Still having problems getting that boat started.
What else could happen to this team? If it wasn't for bad luck, they would not have had any this year. Now they're getting the rope to secure the boat to the dock again. That's not a good sign. Now, you have to consider the fact that Jimmy Shane probably has less experience starting a turbine-powered unlimited hydroplane than anyone in the pit area. That could be a factor here, and it could be something mechanical. That's not his fault at all. He has crewmen aboard now trying to help. Well, they put the lid back down. With 1 minute and 38 seconds to go, that is enough time to get on the course and be competitive. Hopefully now you will see a little bit of action behind the boat as the propeller begins to turn, and you'll watch him pull away from the pit area. Not so far. Keep your fingers crossed across the country. We'd like to see Jimmy and the U7, and I know Kelly back east and the rest of the Shane family are probably more anxious about this than we are.
We're starting to see the boats score up. J. Michael Kelly has gone all the way around the turn as we keep an eye on Jimmy Shane in the U7. There's going to be a little bit of a traffic jam as they come off the Blue Bridge turn between Steve David and the Beacon Plumbing. Steve David has gotten the inside lane. The Beacon Plumbing is going to be in lane 2. And on the outside, it'll be J. Michael Kelly in the Graham Trucking. And that's where we are right now with 45 seconds to go. Hatch is back up on the U7. That does not look good.
Inside 1 minute, I don't think you're allowed to get onto the race course, so that's probably it for Jimmy Shane this time. Unfortunate. Hope we at least get a chance to see him drive here later today. There was some interesting dicing going on in the infield between Steve David and the Oh Boy Oberto and Jean Theoret in Miss Beacon Plumbing. They kind of milled around the infield, and finally Steve jumped out onto the backstretch, secured lane 1, and Theoret had no choice but to take lane 2. The leader out to your left there is actually J. Michael Kelly, but he's going to be way on the outside as they turn toward us now. 12 seconds on the clock, and here they come once again. Steve David has the Oh Boy Oberto on the inside. Very tough to get around, but Theoret has great boat speed here at the start.
And they're pretty early. We'll see if this is a good start. They was very, very, very close. J. Michael Kelly led him across the line on the inside. Steve David, you can see them heading down toward the Blue Bridge turn. You see the first and second place boats. That's David on the inside, Kelly on the outside. Between them is Jean Theoret and the Beacon Plumbing.
Theoret doesn't have much of a lane in there between boats. Hopefully Kelly is leaving him room, but J. Michael Kelly made a great start on the outside. Steve David on the inside, the short way around the turn, just has too much race boats. You're not going to get around him when he's on the inside. We're probably going to have a good race here for second and third, though.
As we're looking at the Rooster Tails, hidden in the spray on the outside is Kelly in the Graham Trucking, but the Beacon Plumbing is Jean Theoret coming up on him as Steve David already at the entrance pin to the west turn. You've got 3 boats still deck to deck to deck as they come through that western turn. Now Steve David first.
Watch as they turn toward us. Look at that. How much room Kelly left. Just a lane. So for Theoret, it's like racing down the hallway in your hotel. He has big Rooster Tails on his left and right. Kelly, however, did leave him room. A good legal lap there. J. Michael Kelly in second place on the outside, but he's going to have trouble holding off Theoret off to his left. He will have a shorter turn to make here. Watch this turn now, Mark. It'll be very interesting to watch the second and third place boats.
They're going through that turn at about 160 miles an hour, and they are now absolutely deck to deck, and we're talking about that race for second place. The Beacon Plumbing on the inside, J. Michael Kelly on the outside, 1 boat length apart as they head up the backstretch. Kelly and Theoret, and they are not giving up, either one of them. Both of them foot to the floor.
And they are not catching Steve David. He's about a rooster tail out ahead of this race. It was a very, very closely matched turn as Theoret on the inside got through it a little bit quicker. At the exit pin, it looked like J. Michael Kelly had a little bit of acceleration on him. Now they're going to come down by us to finish lap 2. No doubt who's leading this thing. It's Steve David and the Oh Boy Oberto, but you're looking at the race for second and third. The boat on the inside now, a little bit of an advantage. That is Theoret, and J. Michael Kelly has settled back now, about a half a rooster tail back in third place. We'll see here, Mark, if he makes another run at Theoret.
But that's only a couple of seconds behind, about 2 or 3 boat lengths as they crossed at the end of lap 2 to get the white flag. Theoret turns left first, and then J. Michael Kelly mirrors him on the outside, and they have not gained any ground on Steve David in the Oh Boy Oberto. He still leads them up the backstretch by more than a full rooster tail. Now Jean Theoret starts to open up a lead over J. Michael Kelly, so it's Kelly third, Theoret second, and way out in front is Steve David in the Oh Boy Oberto.
You know, every time we've seen Steve David recently, he's had the inside, and when he gets lane 1, it's just not much of a boat race. That new Oh Boy Oberto is just too high-tech and too fast. You figure what would have happened had he been out in lane 3 and he had Theoret and J. Michael Kelly inside of him. This could have been a close boat race, but when the Oh Boy Oberto is out ahead, this is what happens when he's in lane 1. The checkered flag flies for Steve David and the Oh Boy Oberto. Second place, after a good race with J. Michael Kelly, will go to Jean Theoret in the Beacon Plumbing, and then Kelly brings the Graham Trucking across in third place.
Well, still a long day of racing to go. We're just halfway through our sprint elimination heats, if you will, and so these guys are accumulating points. That's the whole goal. Accumulate those points. First, second, those are good points. Third, maybe might need a little more oomph in the third set of elimination heats in order to make it into the final. We'll go with 6 boats on the front line in the final, and then we will have a provisional race, and the winner of that race ends up being the trailer boat in the final. So we'll have 7 boats running in our championship heat of the Lamb Weston Columbia Cup later on this afternoon. So J. Michael Kelly with a third, and he had a good run yesterday. Points are going to be bunched up pretty tightly here, and we'll take a look at those maybe a little later on.
Mark, we understand now, going back to heat 1A, Jeff Bernard's start was good, correct? Oh, no. Okay, we still don't know. They said they had a half hour to review it, so that is still under review. We don't know yet. Our score sheet's a mess, and we have to find out what happened way back in Heat 1A. We'll try to get that information for you.
We just looked at the start of this heat, though, Heat 2B, and J. Michael was right on the money.
The officials have a system somewhat like ours, but more official, where they use stop action slow motion to see where exactly the boat is when the clock ticks down to 0. Here it is again. Now watch the clock hit 0. There's 2. We're obviously going pretty slow here, which we need to do. There's the 1. Now as it hits 0, 0, where is the boat? Watching at home, you can watch it with us. He needs his... Oh, look at that.
About 6 inches, would you say?
Folks, that is as good as you can start an unlimited hydroplane race. That is just incredible. He appears to be legal. And we are still waiting for the word on Jeff Bernard in Heat 1A. Meanwhile, we have Steve David getting off of his boat in the pit area. Scott Reister is down there, and we'll talk to him when we come back. You're watching the Lamb Weston Columbia Cup on KNDU.
Scott Reister has the winning driver, Steve David, down on the pit. Scott.
That's right. The Oboy Alberto wins again. That's 2 heats and 2 wins. Steve, what was going on out there? It seems like it wasn't even close.
Oh, it was. I mean, 37 and 13 are fantastic drivers. Jay Michael and Jin Threat, besides being very good friends, are great racers. But once we had the lead, it was pretty windy out there. The Alberto just really handled this stuff pretty well.
How in the zone are you guys right now? I mean, the way you qualified and the way the heats have gone so far today.
Well, we're totally focused on U1 and winning this race. And every time we can win and get points on the guys behind us, that really helps a lot.
All right. Well, so far so good. Thanks a lot, Steve. Good luck the rest of the way. He's racking up those points. National high points champion. Does it again. Quick update. Jimmy Shane's both U7. It just would not start. We'll try to get more details as they become available. Now we go back to Mark and Steve.
Thank you, Scott.
Well, an incredible start, as we saw, by the U13 Graham Trucking and young J. Michael Kelly. That's about as close as you can get, Mark. I don't think you could be closer to the line than that, but it was only good for 3rd place.
Yep. First place to the Oboy Alberto, Miss Madison. You're watching the Lamb Weston Columbia Cup on KNDU.